And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. A lot of couples make that vow on their wedding day, till death do us part. But what happens to your finances once that day comes? Former supermodel Paula Poroscopa says women need to be ready. She was publicly disinherited from her late husband's will, which left her, quote, broke and devastated. Let's bring in certified public accountant Ed Gardner. Now, Ed, many people think, you know, when a husband dies, and then that's typically the situation, and the wife is not familiar with the finances, they're kind of lost, and they see it as a 1950s, 1960s problem, but that's still very much legitimate today. Because believe it or not, a lot of men, you know, shield their finances from their wives. And so you have a problem where they're left and they don't know where the life insurance policy is, what they're supposed to get, and many times the husband doesn't leave anything, any will or anything with the probate courts.
Well, the biggest problem is communication. If you really love your partner, then you need to communicate and you need to help educate them. Because let's face it, different spouses have different tasks. The wife might be taking care of the home, the children. The husband says, don't worry about it, I'll take care of the finances. But what happens if he has a stroke? What happens if he dies? You know, they're clueless. They don't know what to do. They have the shock and awe of them passing, and then all of a sudden, I got to worry about paying my bills. I got to worry about this and that. So what they need to do is they need to be proactive, and they need to communicate and talk about it ahead of time.
And it's simple stuff like some spouses don't know where the accounts are.
Right.
Or which bank they're located in.
So the most important thing is they need to sit down, go over where they have things, and even write down passwords. You don't know how many times I've seen, Isaiah, where they can't even get into their computer, and especially if someone had a business, they know nothing about the business. And then what happens is that the surviving spouse sells it for pennies on the dollar because it's like a bargain sale. They can't keep it going. But they need to sit down, go over where they have their money, sit down and see what their expenses are, and talk about it. And not only that, but talk about what you're going to do when the other partner dies, where you're going to live, you know, what expenses you have to have. And then, you know, when someone passes, the widow's got to worry about contacting Social Security, you know, to get the beneficiary benefits, to get a death certificate, to go contact all the places with retirement, the regular bank accounts. And so this is overwhelming for them. If they spend a little time ahead of time, they can have a plan. And they could plan what steps they need to take down the road.
And if you are, say, the breadwinner in the family, what should you be doing? Should you have a complete list, almost like if you're sick or something, like a living will or a will after you die as well, where they know where everything is, how to access it, how to get the passwords, what they need to do?
Right. I mean, like myself personally, my wife knows where we have everything. She knows about my passwords, and you know, constantly you're changing passwords. So that's another important thing. People forget to give an updated list of the passwords. And so they give passwords from a year ago, and it doesn't do them any good if, God forbid, you pass, and people need to get into different accounts.
But that will and that communication, that's very important. God forbid you have like cryptocurrency and you don't have that password.
Right.
You're doomed. All right, Ed, we're always glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. Always have such great advice. Good to see you, sir. We'll see you next week.